are here that we wanted to get started a little bit early. So here we are. It's not even quite noon yet, but we wanted to get going for you because we see folks are waiting. We see we have a request already. I'm so thrilled about all of this. I hope that you can see me. Yes. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. And Raina is here. Teddy's here. Special shout out to my friend Lewis Cook, who was my one live friend on the members only live stream that we did at 11. I realized it was kind of a short notice thing, but it was a delight to see Lewis there. So thank you for being there. It was really fun doing this quick little vertical live thing. This is a new thing that YouTube is now letting people do, which is to do vertical live streams. So I did that. Hello to Angel. It's 9:00 where Angel is in Spain. Yes, Angel. And hello. And good morning to Chris. Good morning to Benjamin. Good morning to Matt. All right. So we've got a request already. Benjamin, thank you very much for your kind contribution. Benjamin asks, in celebration of Valentine's Day, can one of you read the Josh Brolin poem he wrote to Timothy Chalamet to the other? It's super romantic and sweet. Alonso, do you have this pulled up?
I do. Do you want me to try and do it in a Josh Brolin voice or just as myself? Because I don't know that I can really quite capture him.
I want Josh Brolin as Thanos. Can you do that for me?
Ooh, that's really tricky. But I'll try and go a little growlier.
Okay.
Your face is etched by adolescence. Your cheekbones jump toward what are youth-laden eyes that slide down a prominent nose and onto lips of a certain poetry. And the way you hold my gaze make me fear my own age, because something in me tells me you are going to offer me something, and for now, I'm not sure it's going to be something I want anymore.
Wow. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Is it romantic?
Poetry's never been my strong point, so I don't know what the interpretations are. Maybe this is about the Lincoln assassination, the way when Lilacs Last in the Dooryard Bloom was. I don't know, but it's something.
Yes. Hi, John McVeigh. Hi, Brent. John, thanks for trying to catch the tail end of that vertical live. And thanks for being a channel member. So yeah. And Florence Pugh got one too. I think if you look at Josh Brolin's Instagram feed, he does have this kind of poet's soul to him and very romantic musings about the human existence and whatnot.
I had a collection for a while of celebrity poetry books. Suzanne Summers' Touch Me, Michael Madsen's, I forget what it was called. We had that one. I think Lisa Left Eye Lopez had one.
Oh gosh.
Sorry, T-Boz, Davis correcting me, had one. Yeah, so that was that's a whole subgenre of literature that's out there.
Well, you have stirred many feelings in our viewers, Alonso, with your interpretive reading. Jason G says Alonso is the new poet laureate of Hollywood. Danny Maquetto says, I love it. That was Alonso doing Dave White doing Thanos. Raina says, now I know who to hire for narration work, and Scott Delgado is fanning himself. And Matt says, he used to have such a crush on Josh Brolin. He could write me a poem. There you go. Good to see you all. Thank you for being here on a Friday. I'm delighted that our Friday group just keeps growing and growing, and we love doing news live for you. So we'll keep doing this, and we'll intersperse more vertical lives for our channel members. So thank you all for being here. In whatever capacity you are here, you might have noticed that Alonso and I saw Dune Part 2 this past week, or Tune, as we're calling it. And we can't really say a whole lot, but we can say that we liked it.
Yeah, we're still embargoed from actually reviewing it, but yeah, I'd say our response was positive.
Nancy wants to know when your next poetry slam is. Right, I need to put on a beret next time. So yeah, we can say that you've got to see it. I mean, if you saw the first one and liked the first one, this is just even more epic in a lot of ways, and very much needs to be seen on a big screen with incredible sound, that big Hans Zimmer score. One of our viewers, Alonso, says that it's not Dolby when it's IMAX, it's DTS. I don't know.
Point taken.
Okay. Brent Luhol wants to call it Dune, Deuxne. I like
Right,
that.
I've been seeing that one around.
That's good
I've
too.
seen Dune where the U is 2 eyes. So it's like a Roman numeral 2. You know, there's a lot of ways to go here.
Oh my God. Teddy says at least no one asked anyone to use the Dune popcorn bucket. Yeah, that was a design choice.
Yeah. And they had to know. They had to know, right? I mean, like, I think this is how you get people to talk about your product on the internet, you know. And you did you see the SNL sketch?
No. Tell me.
They did a video on the Io Debris episode that was basically with these teenagers who all are falling in love with / having sex with the Dune popcorn bucket.
Ooh.
And like taking it to prom, and you know, it's just it was funny.
It looks uncomfortable.
But I'm just saying they knew they there's no way Warner Brothers and AMC weren't like, you know what? So yeah.
What if we made it a butthole? So Dylan's got a question for me. Christy, are those DVDs in the background on a shelf, or are they simply stacked against the wall? Gives me anxiety if the latter. No, they are vertical bookshelves. Over on that wall, we have books like that, and these are the DVDs, and they're like, I think they're from Design Within Reach. They're like big vertical bookshelves. So,
okay.
So thank you. Yes, good question. Hola from Chile to Oscar. Hello,
Cool.
Happy to see you. So yes, we saw Dune 2. We liked it a lot. We can say that much. We'll have a full review for you on Wednesday of next week when the embargo lifts. And that I think will be a spoiler-free review.
Yeah.
But at some point, I suspect we should probably do a spoiler talk.
Yeah, probably.
Once you guys see it. It doesn't come out till March 1st.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's
yes. Matt mentions Zendaya had an amazing cyborg outfit. Yeah, that was vintage Thierry Mugler.
Yeah.
Hey, you're just too funky for me. She was dressed like one of the people in that George Michael video.
Well, it's funny. Somebody asked me what my take on that outfit was, and I said, the arbiter between the hands and the head must be the heart. Because that is such a Metropolis outfit. I mean, I'm sure that's what Mugler had in mind. It's certainly what we're supposed to be thinking about when we see it now, I think.
Yeah, Angel says, did you see her dressed as C-3PO at the London premiere? Yeah, and you know what? She's 5'10" and very skinny, so she can pull that kind of thing off. I would look totally stupid in that.
As would I. And you know, like she had to, like they got her into the door and she was like, all right, take me to the room where I get to put on the dress that I can sit down in, please.
Oh my God, like when do I get to eat? So that's coming up. Also this week, the Fantastic Four cast has been announced, and there have been some rumors and names swirling around as to who it might be. And so now it can be told it will be Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Eben Moss-Backrack, and Joseph Quinn. They just keep trying to make Fantastic Four happen. And I know that a lot of folks like it. Like that first one was pretty good. That second one was not.
Oh, well, actually, you know, there's a first one. Roger Corman had the rights. And like, it was one of the deals where like, you got to start shooting next week or you lose them. So he did start shooting next week. It was very low budget and seat of their pants. There's a whole documentary about the making of that Fantastic Four, which has only survived as like a bootleg. I don't know that ever really got released, but in some ways it's kind of the truest adaptation of the Fantastic Four in terms of what the original comics were like. No one has quite nailed it yet. The comics were groundbreaking in their day because this was like, these were characters that were a squabbling family that didn't always get along and got on each other's nerves, and they lived in a high rise in the middle of downtown and had to deal with like zoning and stuff. Like it was, you know, it was in the way that Spider-Man was the first superhero that had to worry about the rent. You know, Fantastic Four felt like the first superheroes that were just like folks dealing with stuff and each other and getting on each other's nerves. And no one's quite nailed that yet. And I think you kind of have to almost make it a workplace comedy, I think. I don't know, but the fact that they're setting this one in the 60s is promising, which I don't know if you noticed in that image that they released, the Life magazine that Ben Grimm is reading has LBJ on the cover.
Oh,
so they're going period. They're setting it like for when the comics were new. So maybe they found a way in that will work that eluded the other versions. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, the one with Ioan Gruffudd was pretty good, But then the Miles Teller one was
It
not.
was quite terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And apparently, Eben Moss-Backrack is the first Jewish man to be cast as Jewish superhero, The Thing. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Right, because Michael Chiklis did it.
Right.
Interesting.
And
I don't know. It's a blur.
It's one of those British boys. Was it Jamie Bell? Was Jamie Bell the Thing?
Okay.
In that one?
Yeah, that rings a bell. David, thank you very much for your extraordinarily generous, kind donation. Thank you very much for that. David's got a question. Hey, Christy and Alonso, Ridley Scott is in talks to take over the Bee Gees biopic from John Carney. Do you think he'd be a great choice? He did a great job with All the Money in the World, but not with House of Gucci or Napoleon. You did like Napoleon?
Yeah, I mean, kind of liked Napoleon.
Ridley Scott contains multitudes. I mean, remember, Ridley Scott also did like Thelma and Louise, you know, so.
My first thing is that you better cast Florence Pugh as Lulu. Just throwing that out there. I think that is vital for any Bee Gees movie being made right now. I'll tell you, we're talking about Bob Marley today. I don't know that I need any more rock star biopics, frankly. I feel like there's, I think Bohemian Rhapsody has a lot to answer for in terms of like everybody making them now. But I don't see why Ridley Scott couldn't handle it. I mean, like, I love John Carney, but I don't want to see him yoked to a biopic. I think his kind of storytelling loans itself to these sort of the kind of little quiet, intimate, character-driven movies that he likes to do.
But maybe that would make this more interesting than the traditional biopic that we too often see. If we have like that kind of idiosyncratic John Carney approach to it, that might have been more interesting. I don't know. As these are all good questions. I don't think I even knew there was a Bee Gees biopic.
I saw a headline that he was being approached for, and I was like, I don't know. And then my next thought was like, and who's playing Lulu? So,
Andrea Gilly says, hello from Venezuela. I have a question about Napoleon. Do you guys know if they are going to release a 4-hour version or just the theatrical version? Thanks and have a nice day. We were literally just texting about this, Andrea.
Yes.
At some point, they are going to put out a director's cut on Apple. One of the things we were going to get to in news today is that Napoleon is going to start streaming on Apple Plus on March 1st.
Yes.
Same day as Dune Part 2 is in theaters, that is.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know that they have come up with a date yet for the director's cut.
Yeah, there's been no announcement, but I think, they've been saying for a while that there is one and that we are getting it. So I don't know if it's going to be well clear of award season. They're sort of waiting for that to pass. I honestly don't know, because I know that. No, sorry, I know that with Kingdom of Heaven, I saw that in a theater in LA because it got like a 1-week run, basically because they wanted that version to be the version that was up for Oscar consideration. Not that it helped; it didn't get any nominations. But I think with Napoleon, they're getting to that one, but I think they wanted it to muddy the water for like eligibility and stuff.
Teddy has breaking news for us, and that is that Trump has been fined $350 million and barred for 3 years from running his businesses for all the... Anyway, this is... And again, I'm confused about which one this is. Is this the thing...
Southern District of New York, or is this...
Is this the New York one?
Who can keep up?
I don't know. You guys, let me know in the comments which one this is, because I don't know which one it is.
Yeah. Can't follow your indictments without a scorecard.
Yes. And JC says, just saw the Trump news. And Gage says, have you talked about the Wicked trailer? We have not.
We have not, which I didn't watch. I hear it's another shit musical, but don't tell anybody trailer.
It's a musical, but like people know it's a musical, do they not?
One would think, but what I'm hearing from people about the trailer is that they're doing that same thing like Mean Girls and Color Purple and Wonka, where they're not really like, you don't really see a lot of singing and dancing. And it's kind of like, do people not know Wicked as a musical at this point? I don't know.
I think so. I think they do. Sorry, I'm like distracted by a few things. Teddy says, I feel a Walk Hard reference coming on. Teddy, wait till we review the Bob Marley movie.
Marley One Love, yeah.
Because Bob Marley's got to think about his whole life before he sings.
That's right.
That happens, yeah. So we will definitely talk about how we exist in a post-Walk Hard world, but no one else seems to have gotten that memo. Hello, Keith, and welcome to being a channel member. Good to see you. Good to have you here. Matt says, everyone's saying it's the New York one. The thing with the Trump news is the New York one, and it's $355 million, actually.
All right.
I like it. I look forward to the all caps rants that will ensue on his social network.
And will this be just yet another debt he never pays?
That's the thing. It's like, how do you get,
I mean, I guess now this is somebody you owe money to who can garnish things. So
yeah. Just take his name off of buildings and things. All right, so that happened. Alex Cox is making a Repo Man 2. What do we think about this?
I mean, any sequel that's coming 40 years later is already cause for like, should we, and I mean, Alex Cox has not been the most consistent filmmaker over the last 4 decades. So I don't know. I walk into everything trying to hope for the best, but I don't know. And also Harry Stanton's dead. So
right. So is Emilio Estevez going to be in it? Like, who's going to be in it?
No clue.
Yeah, I don't know that I need a sequel because Repo Man is important and influential and
of its moment.
Totally, that's the thing. It's like it's so of this moment in the early 80s that I don't know that I need a new one. But anyway, when it comes out, we'll review it for sure. Bayonet 300. Thank you very, very much. We appreciate you. Thank you for your kindness. Another critic I enjoy said there's only so many ways you can say a comedy movie is not funny. Are there types of movies you struggle to review?
I mean, less about genre and more, as we've talked before. It's like there's those movies that are just so like they're not great and they're not terrible. They're just mediocre and by the numbers. Those are the hard ones to talk about because they don't, like it's much easier to explain why Morbius is terrible than it is to explain why Madam Web is just like okay. Even though we're much kinder to Madam Web than most people on the internet, but whatever.
Yeah, let us know if you guys have seen Madam Web and if you think it's terrible or just it's fine. I agree with you that those 2.5 star reviews are the hardest ones to get inspired to write, and then like the hardest ones to articulate like why it's meh. Like if you love something or you hate something, it just flows. And it's like, but the vast majority of films fall into that kind of like 2.5 star realm.
Which actually brings us to something else we were going to talk about today. The Criterion Channel is doing a salute to the Razzie Awards in March. And they're screening some like legitimately great films like The Blair Witch Project and Carell and, William Friedkin's Cruising, Showgirls. I think, a case can be made that there are, great things about that movie, alongside like, Freddy Got Fingered, which has its defenders, Barbed Wire, which doesn't have its defenders.
We reviewed Barbed Wire.
We reviewed that right here not long ago when Pam and Tommy was on. And so I don't know. I was kind of thinking like part of it is it's sort of throwing shade at the Razzie Awards because the Razzie Awards started out like kind of gunning for sort of big, difficult movies like Carell, and now they just go for like the most obvious low hanging fruit of just like shitty movies. And I think, but also like because the Criterion is showing them, it's sort of like, well, these movies do merit a look. They are important in their way. They are worth looking at. And maybe the Razzies got it wrong, you know. But again, I think when you have a film that was as extreme as something like Freddy Got Fingered, you're going to get very extreme opinions. Like people are going to, for the most part, people hate it. A few people are like, no, it's brilliant, and this is why. Like Dave White. Freddy Got Fingered defender. He does this. It is punk rock as a movie, but so much of the stuff that is just like you look like something will pop up on Facebook memories. I'm like, what is that movie? I don't remember that movie. Like I don't remember, the title doesn't tell me, and I have to go look at the review. And I'm like, oh yeah, that one with that guy. And those are the hardest ones to review.
Right, I agree. We do a lot of those. Also, like among the Razzie ones on Criterion is Cocktail. Like, is Cocktail a bad movie? Yes. I don't want to believe that.
Yes.
Xanadu, of course, is a movie that I go back to over and over again.
Yes,
People ask
we
me,
reviewed that also.
we did. That was one of my first. Was it great or were you eight? Like
Yeah.
when people say like, what's a movie that everyone hates that you love? Like Xanadu, of course. And so yeah, Xanadu, Ishtar, Showgirls, Wicker Man, the Nick Cage Wicker Man,
Yeah.
like movies that were
the
savaged and
Madonna swept away.
yeah, movies that like were savaged in their day that in time have found an audience. And so yeah, so Criterion is doing that. I want to make sure I get to a few things here. David, again, thank you so much. Very kind of you. Hey, Christy and Alonso, do you think Dune Part 2 will be the next Lord of the Rings and be nominated at the Oscars next year? I can imagine it will get a lot of technical awards. It's the kinds of things that Oppenheimer is up for this year, production design, sound design, visual effects, cinematography, costume design.
Did the first Dune get a Best Picture nomination?
I don't know. You guys, can you look that up for us?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think it did.
In a field of 10, I could see that having a shot. Sure, I mean it's early in the year, so who knows what we're going to get between now and December. But yeah, certainly on the craft level, by all means, it's going to rack up a lot there. And again, this is not the final Dune, and that's not a spoiler. They've already been saying that 3 is in the pipeline, so I imagine that if it follows the Lord of the Rings trajectory, it doesn't really cash in on stuff until the last one, but who knows?
Van Hong Tran asked, did they intentionally hold back One Love because they didn't expect any acting nominations, or was it genuinely not finished back in December? I wonder, is it a movie that got pushed because of the strikes? But also, it's not a movie that would or should get nominated for Oscars.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We don't have any inside baseball knowledge about how that played out, but yeah, I don't think that Kingsley Ben-Adir was necessarily going to be a shoe-in. And the thing is, like, yes, you had you did get an Oscar for Rami Malek, but like, all the names are flying out of my head today. The guy who played Taron Egerton did not get nominated for Rocket Man, so it's not a guarantee that these showy, charismatic roles are necessarily going to translate to that kind of thing. And I guess somebody decided that this was not gonna do that. Although, it is technically eligible for next year, so anything can happen.
I'd be surprised.
I would too.
GSJ210 says, wow, finally caught alive. Thank you that you're here with us in the middle of the day. I appreciate that. Benjamin points out, I remember Ebert saying Freddy Got Fingered might be a surrealist masterpiece.
I've never seen it all the way through. I'm going to give it another shot when it comes on Criterion.
Todd is here. Hi, Todd. Mommy Dearest points out, Matt. Is that one of the ones? Mommy Dearest is one of the Criterion ones?
They're not showing that one, but that is definitely a movie I think that tides have turned about. In fact, my friend Ashley Hoff has a book about Mommy Dearest. It's coming out in May. I believe it's called With Love, Mommy Dearest. And he talked to, like, I mean, not Faye, because she's not talking, but so many people involved in that production he got the dirt from. And really the book, I think, takes a balanced look at, like, yes, it's ridiculous, but there's also these other things that it gets right. And there's a way of interpreting Faye Dunaway's performance that it's less camp and more like operatic in a way, which I think it kind of is. So yeah, that's it's not on the Criterion list, but it is a movie that I think people have reevaluated over the decades.
We got folks pointing out that yes, Dune got a Best Picture nomination and it won 6 Oscars.
Okay.
So I don't know. It's been a while. Information leaves our brain sometimes.
Totally.
Couple things. My OY, our good friend Chris Crawford. Thank you, hey. Friend. Says, I like you. We like you too, and hope that you are feeling better. I know you've had some health stuff going on. Hope you're feeling better today. And then Benjamin asks, hello, thank you, Benjamin. How much weed should I smoke before One Love? Okay, so I did not have any because pot was never my drug of choice. But I don't think that would be helpful because that's not the vibe of it at all. It's actually a pretty square, pretty straightforward movie.
Yeah, I was reminded of if it was a Slacker. There's one movie where like a white guy's like, "Oh man, I should become a Rasta and smoke weed all day," and somebody goes, "Yeah, but you'd also have to believe that Haile Selassie is God." And there's more Haile Selassie than there is weed in this movie. I'll say that.
There's like constant weed. There are constant joints all the time while they're recording and
I guess,
all
but
that,
it's
right?
not. But it's very quotidian, I guess.
Yeah.
It's by the by.
Danny mentions the Ed Zwick memoir. Yes, we're going to get to that in a sec. Music Twins 82 says, have either of you read the new book about Siskel and Ebert? Oh, honey, I'm
Yes.
in it.
Yes. Madame is interviewed as
Yeah.
the last critic standing of the Ebert universe on television.
There you go. I'm the one that ruined the legacy. That's me. Me and Ignati together. We tried. Angel asks, are you guys Team Nolan or Team Villeneuve? In my opinion, Villeneuve never disappoints. I don't want to have to live in a world where I must choose.
Yeah, I'm Team Almodovar. So,
hello, Christine. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Feud Capote's Women. Is it worth reading? The ebook is on sale. Alonso.
Oh, Lawrence Lerman's Capote's Women. It is actually. I found it really entertaining. It's dishy, if you're into that kind of thing. But I think it's sort of a study of that particular moment of the culture as far as what the Swans represented in terms of society, kind of like after World War II and before, Real Housewives, and what it has to say about Capote and his relationship with them. It's a fun read. I enjoyed it.
Yes, we are recapping, as you know, Christine, we are recapping Feud, Capote and the Swans over on our Patreon. Episode 4 was chock full of revelations.
It's my favorite episode so far, I think.
Is it?
About that. Yes.
More than the black and white one?
Yeah. We'll discuss that on Patreon. I think the emotional component really made it land for me.
Interesting. T-Love Hater, hello, good to see you, says, I watched The Eternal Memory and it's so sad, guys.
Ooh.
I need to watch the dumbest movie I can. Maybe I'll watch Madam Web. Yeah, we have not reviewed Eternal Memory, but that is very sad.
Yeah, it hits hard, and it's currently up for best documentary feature.
It is, and there's some interesting questions about the ethics of it,
right,
because the husband in the couple was not always in a condition where he could agree to
rationally
this.
consent.
Yeah, agree to this. So that's an interesting question. Nata, good to see you, says, speaking of Almodovar, Strange Way of Life came out on DVD this week in the US. So happy I can finally see it.
And not a ton of extras, so you are buying a DVD of a half-hour movie. But why not? Physical media for everything. I thought they would have at least maybe put it on the same disc with human voice, but I don't think they've included that as an extra. So,
right, they should put them together and make it like an hour-long thing. Intoxicated Masculinity says, just logging in. Hi, good to see you. It seems like it's bullshit that John Williams got nominated for best score this year. What say you? I mean, it's just like the same score of the same Indiana Jones score, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are people in the composer's branch who could split that hair for you. My ear could not tell you the difference, but I imagine there are rules in place where you have to show that like X% of the score of a sequel is not just a retread. So, yeah. But he is I'm sure the kind of like you see his name on a ballot and you're like, oh, John Williams.
He's good. Yeah, I like him.
I like him.
There are things on my rundown I want to get to before we wrap up here. We talked about Repo Man, Napoleon. The Bear season 3 will be back in June. We will definitely recap that. Yes, chef. Heard, chef. Corner, chef. We will do that for you. Also, Molly Shannon will be on Only Murders in the Building season 4, and Meryl Streep will be returning for season 4.
Yeah.
That is big. We're excited about that.
And did you see, by the way, that ABC is showing more Only Murders? Like they ran season 1 and apparently did well enough that they're going to keep going and show like 2 and 3 probably.
Oh, I did not see that.
Yeah.
That's interesting though. And is that unusual that it goes that direction?
Yes, it doesn't happen a lot. Like I think a lot of it is post-strike, like where CBS is like, all right, we're going to run Yellowstone now, and for ABC to take on a Hulu show, I think it was just because there's this sort of void of TV production that wasn't happening for a while there. But apparently the numbers are pretty good, which means there's a lot of ABC viewers who aren't Hulu subscribers, and so Disney gets them one way or the other, and hopefully more checks for my friend Michael Cyril Creighton.
Yes, he is a delight. He was really good in American Fiction.
Yes.
I enjoyed him in that. His
Very excited for
small
him.
but important role in that. We got some folks theorizing in the comments about True Detective Night Country. Teddy wants to know if anyone has any clue what's going on. And
we're doing
Benjamin
that at
says,
Patreon too.
Yes, Benjamin says he thinks that Jodie Foster might be the bad guy.
Ooh.
Maybe there is no bad guy in the Night Country.
Maybe.
Right?
Is Jodie Foster the she if she's awake? I don't know.
Ooh. Yes, we have a couple of folks here mentioning also that about Navalny being killed. Did you hear that?
I don't. Who's
Alexei Navalny was killed?
Oh, right. Yes. Sorry. Okay. Navalny's also like a place or something. I think I was getting those confused.
No.
Yes. And apparently fucking Tucker Carlson is like, well, part of being a leader is killing your enemies or whatever nonsense he's on about.
He was only 47 years old. It's actually kind of amazing that Navalny survived as long as he did to accomplish as much as he did.
No kidding. Yeah.
The documentary about him, which won an Academy Award, is excellent and very worth seeing. My heart breaks for Yulia and those kids. He did so much, and it's just so sad that this, they finally caught up with him.
Yeah,
it's awful.
This is where we are now.
Yes. So On the Game asks about Severance season 2. I've never seen Severance season 1.
I have started Severance season 1, and I kind of dropped out of it after a few episodes.
Okay.
And I know people love it, and I really admire the production design, but it just didn't grab me, unfortunately. But yes, after a long delay, Severance season 2 is happening.
Nancy theorizes that Fiona Shaw could be the bad guy in True Detective. I don't know. Her Christmas spread was so delightful. She couldn't be a bad person.
Come on. I don't know. I mean, and maybe it's not a thing where the bad guy is a character we have already met. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I assume, and again, the finale is the Sunday of this season.
Maybe it's the mail order bride who didn't fly in.
I just assume that if there is any kind of bad guy, that it's some sort of spiritual force, an ethereal kind of haunting, that it's not a person.
Yeah, I don't know that this does not seem like the kind of story that's going to loan itself to a very tidy resolution.
Yeah. I want to mention the Godzilla X Kong, the new Empire trailer is out. It looks totally fucking stupid. And in the wake of, how great Godzilla -1 is, we are now back to, the kind of big, dumb Godzilla movies. But Godzilla and Kong are pals now. They're on the same side.
Okay. Yeah, the Monarch universe really needs to step it up now that we've got Godzilla -1 in the world. I am making my way through the Monarch TV show on Apple, and it's okay.
Is it good? I watched the beginning of it and I was like,
It's all right. I mean, just more for the characters and their sort of interconnection and jumping back and forth in time than necessarily the kaiju aspects of it. But yeah, I thought that last Godzilla Kong movie was a bit of a washout. So they have to win me back into caring about this one.
Lots of folks are insisting that you've got to give Severance another try. That you're missing out by not loving it. So
sorry, y'all. They can't all be winners.
Oh yeah, and Dalen points out, I'm just here for Dan Stevens being hot. Yeah, and Pink Godzilla. Otherwise, yes, it's dumb. Yeah, I don't know. I want intellectual Godzilla at this point.
Yes.
Historically significant Godzilla,
PTSD
not just
Godzilla.
I also want to mention this Ed Zwick memoir, rather, because it is out there and it is juicy and dishy. And he tells all. He's like 71 and has no fucks left to give, and tells lots of stories.
Yeah, there's Ann Thompson has a really good interview with him at IndieWire, I want to say, where he talks about how apparently Matthew Broderick's momager was a pain in the ass during Glory, and
Julia Roberts with Shakespeare in Love. That's a good story too.
Yes, which he was supposed to direct at one point. And I'll tell you, I know at this point it's kind of a footnote in his career because it's one of the very first things he did, like even pre 30 something. But if you ever get the chance to watch the TV movie Special Bulletin from 1981, it's the first big Zwick and Herskovitz thing. In fact, it's the thing that Sidney Pollack saw and said, hey, you should maybe think about becoming a feature filmmaker. Anyway, it's this really cool made for TV movie And the premise is there's like a nuclear incident happening in Charleston, South Carolina. These scientists have stolen some nuclear materials, and they're holding them hostage on the harbor. And the entire movie unfolds as though you're watching network news coverage of the event.
Oh, interesting.
So it's all shot on videotape and not on film, and you don't see anything that isn't happening via an interview or the anchors covering it. It's kind of like the Orson Welles War of the Worlds for radio, basically. And in fact, when it aired, they had to keep showing on the screen like, this is fiction, it's not really happening, because it looked so much like actual network news coverage. I fucking love that movie.
Interesting.
And if you look in the old Leonard Maltin film guide that they used to put out every year, remember those, the big thick things? He would rate, he had star ratings for regular movies, for theatrical movies. And then for TV movies, it was either above average, average, or below average. And Special Bulletin is the only movie in that book that got a way above average rating in the Leonard Maltin guide. So I don't know if it's available. It was for a hot minute. Warner Archive had a DVD out. But anyway, if you get a chance to see Special Bulletin, I really recommend it.
Good to know. We should mention really fast also, Alamo Drafthouse announced today they're going to do like a throwback to 1994 series where they're going to show like Pulp Fiction and Crooklyn and a whole array of films from that year.
Yeah, I mean, like you would expect, of course, they're going to do, Shawshank and Forrest Gump, but they're also doing like blue and white and maybe red from the Three Colors trilogy. They're doing Crooklyn, like you said, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, like a whole variety of things.
Jarvis Jones, thank you for being a channel member. He says first time checking in from Naptown, Indianapolis. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. I think we're going to wrap this up in a minute here because we've got some reviews to do. As we mentioned before, we're talking about the J-Lo movie, This Is Me, ... now, a love story that's on Prime Video starting today, along with soon to be a documentary about the making of This Is Me Now, a love story, which is actually longer than the film itself. Yes. This Is Me Now is 65 minutes, and the documentary behind the scenes where she cries and has no makeup on is 85 minutes.
This is me making This Is Me.
This is really me this time without the makeup. She looks amazing in this movie all the time. Course, she's older than I am and has no pores. She's flawless at all times. So we have that. Then we have the Bob Marley movie. And we're going to also recap this week on Feud on our Patreon. So we've got a bunch to do. We're going to go jump and do that. But we're so thankful to you all for being here. Thanks for your thoughts. Thanks for fact checking us. Thanks for the breaking news. We are, it's good to see you. Yes, Leo, have a great one. John McVeigh, have a great one. Teddy, yes, the J-Lo movie is batshit, and that is a feature and not a bug.
Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. We will be back next week.
We'll see you soon. Yeah, come on back on Friday next week, and we'll do it again. Thanks, everybody. Bye.